Now, today we are going to study Maha Satipatthana Sutta, great discourse on the establishment of mindfulness. I go through the Pali as everybody is familiar with the Pali, and also it is better for us to use Pali words for our own understanding. This discourse was delivered in Kuru. Kuru country. There are several very important discourses that Buddha has delivered in Kuru country. This is one of them. And there, the Buddha, as we see, addressed the bhikkhus, and straight away he said, bhikkhus, this is the direct path for the purification of beings, for the surmounting of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and grief, for the attainment of the true way, for the realization of Nibbana, namely the four foundations for establishment of mindfulness. Now here, the first word, ekayano ayang bhikkhave maggo, ekayana. It has been translated into English as the direct path. I think that is a very good translation. In other places like Ujuko Nama So Maggo, also you can see in this Vandana book and somewhere, the path is straight, Ujuko Nama, Uju. Here it is used Ekayana. Some people translate this as the lonely path. Eka means one. Ayana means traveling, going, treading. But direct path is a good translation. There are many paths. Paths to go to heavens, paths to go to animal realms, path to go to hellish realms, path to go to human realms, and the path to go to Brahma realms, and so forth. There are many paths, but only one path goes direct to attainment of liberation. And that is why Buddha used. Another place he used the word Ujumaggami Akkata Gacchata Manivattata. Go straight, the direct path, don't stop. So the Eka and a direct path is the correct translation. And then at the very outset in this discourse, Buddha has given the purpose of this practice. This fivefold purpose we must emphasize every time we think about it and talk about it. And the first purpose is Visuddhya, Sattanang Visuddhya, for the purification of beings. The purification is an essential part, purification of our mind. There are 7 purifications explained in Ratha Vinita Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. And these are the 7 steps of purification that Venerable Buddhaghosa has elaborated in Visuddhimagga. So, starting with Sila Visuddhi, purification of morality, Chitta Visuddhi, purification of mind, Ditti Visuddhi, purification of views, purification of doubt, Khanka Vitarana Visuddhi, and purification of the path, Patipada Visuddhi, Jnana Visuddhi, wisdom, purification of path and non-path, and so on. There are 7 stages of purification. The purpose of practicing mindfulness is to purify the mind. We don't practice mindfulness for any other purpose, for good health, for better appearance, and make good friends, and get along with people. All these are fringe benefits. They all happen. They all are important for our living in society with others. Of course, mindfulness is sabbatagamini patipada. Mindfulness is the all-pervasive practice, going in every wholesome direction. So, the first purpose, therefore, as we repeat at the renewal of precept, we say sabba papa sakarana kusala supasampada sachitta pariyodapana, the purification of mind. Purification of mind in every respect is absolutely necessary. All our illness, mental, psychological problems arise from not purifying our mind. This is a very powerful psychological approach to live a very healthy, meaningful life, purifying our mental states. Number 1. Second purpose is soka pariddhavana samatikkamaya, for the surmounting of sorrow and lamentation. Sorrow arises from greed. Lamentation arises from greed, and sorrow arises from hatred. Lamentation can arise from hatred. Sorrow arises from confusion, delusion. Lamentation can arise from delusion. That means when we purify the mind, we purify from greed, hatred and delusion. When these are removed or temporarily weakened, our sorrow and lamentation at that moment, during that time, according to dependent origination, we know according to dependent origination, when one exists, other exists. When the greed exists, sorrow, lamentation, pain also exists. When greed fades away, the mind at that time free from sorrow and lamentation. When hatred fades away, as hatred is fading away, the absence of sorrow, lamentation also slowly follow existing at the same time. So these are very important remedy. Ekechi osadhaloke, we learn whatever medicines in the world, there is none like the medicine of Dhamma. You see? And therefore, this is very, very important thing to remember. Okay? The third purpose is dukkha dvamanasanam atthangamaya, for the disappearance of pain and grief. The pain here is not physical pain. Physical pain definitely exists, even when we are mindful, but psychological pain, mental pain, as Buddha said to Nakulapita, when Nakulapita was sick, old, he complained to the Buddha that he has aches and pains all over, and then Buddha asked him, however, if your body is aching, don't let the mind ache. Keep the mind pure, clean. Grief. Also, when we are mindful, grief will not attack us, affect us. We learn all these things later on in details when we go to Dhammanupassana. Then the fourth purpose is for the attainment of true way, Nyaya Sadhigamaya. Nyaya is what is the true way? The Noble Eightfold Path. When we practice mindfulness, we certainly, naturally glide into or fall into the Noble Eightfold Path. On the one hand, mindfulness is one of the noble steps of the Noble Eightfold Path. 7 steps. And therefore, practice of mindfulness is putting us on the right path, true path. Bhikkhu Bodhi used as true path, we normally translate it as right path. Then, for the realization of Nibbana, after all, when we follow this Noble Eightfold Path, where do we end? Directly in Nibbana. That is why at the very beginning he said, this is the direct path. You see, everything he has said here, every step all the road leads to Rome. Every step leads to the Nibbana. So realization of Nibbana. See the word Nibbana Satchikriya. This Satchikriya is not understanding. Understanding is one thing, Satchikriya, realization is another. When we understand theoretically, logically, rationally, through discussions, by reading and thinking, we understand. But realizing is completely different from that. Realizing is totally, we cannot make 100 people realize. We can make 100% understand by using words, similes, parables, examples, and so on and so forth. We can make someone understand, but we cannot make somebody realize. No, not even the Buddha could make us realize. Therefore, realization is very, very much personal, 100% experience. So, for the experiencing Nibbana, we follow these steps. We follow mindfulness. All these other benefits or purposes are all leading to the realization of Nibbana. See, the Buddha's way of explaining things at the very beginning, in his introduction, people who write good academic papers, theses, first they write the summary in the first paragraph. They give the summary of what he is going to say in the essay, his paper, or in his book. Like that, in this discourse, he gave us at the very outset the entire summary of this, complete summary of this discourse. And that is why he is teaching, as you see in Chakka Sutta, he begins Adi Kalyanam, Madhya Kalyanam, Pariyosana Kalyanam, Satang Sabhyanjanam, Kevala Paripunnam, and so forth. I teach the Dhamma, whose beginning is excellent, middle is excellent, end is excellent. So this is the beginning of this discourse. Its beginning is excellent beginning. Then what are the four? What are the four? Here bhikkhu, a bhikkhu dwells contemplating the body, in the body. Ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having subdued longing and grief for the world. Here, Kaya Kayanupassi Virati, Atapi Sampajano Satima Vinaya Loke Abhijja Domanasang. Here, Loka, the world, having subdued longing and grief for the world. Abhijja actually is intense greed for others' property. Abhijja. See the spelling Abhijja and Avijja. In Avijja, ignorance. Abhijja, covetousness. Greedy for others, whatever others have. Domanasa is grief. Now, in the world, here world is not what we call external world, where other people, animals and things and so forth and so on. Here world means our own mind and body. You all remember in Samyutta Nikaya there is a discourse called what is this? Rohitassa. In the Rohitassa Sutta, Buddha defined the world. What is the world? This very same 1 fathom body with its consciousness do I call the world. Lokancha panyapemi, loka samudayancha panyapemi, loka nirodhancha panyapemi, loka nirodhagaminiya patipadaya panyapemi. Because in this 1 fathom body, including its consciousness, 1 fathom is, how big is the fathom?
6 feet.
6 feet. So in that measurement, I am not 1 fathom. In this room, I think you may be 1 fathom. Who else is 6 feet? You are 6 feet?
Not even close.
Yeah?
No.
No. You?
No, but
Okay. You? Okay. He is 1 fathom. In that measurement. So the 1 fathom means when you stretch your hands like this, from middle fingertip to the middle fingertip, that stretch is 1 fathom. When you measure yourself, this is your height. And therefore each of us is a fathom of our own personal measurement. In this body, with its own consciousness, Buddha declares the world. So covetousness is not, I am not going to remove your covetousness. Can I? No. I cannot. I must be mindful to remove my covetousness. Covetousness in this body and mind. Right? So, this is called in this world. In this world. And we must, when we understand this, we have to understand in a very practical way. Then the grief also is in this mind, in this one for the body. And when we talk about mind, we all must understand mind is in this, within this body. We are not talking about the mind existing outside this body. Mind, this is the home for the mind in this body. Don't ask where it is, where the mind is. That is the different discussion. We can discuss it some other times. But for this purpose, we just understand that the mind is not something existing mind-only concept. There is a teaching called mind-only, vinyaptimatratas, and so forth. And the Buddha's teaching does not show any particular place that mind exists outside this body. And therefore, when we talk about the world, we have to understand it is this body. And also, vinaya. Vinaya means discipline. We learn vinaya. Vinaya means having discipline. So the translation, English translation is subdued. That means having tempered, having reduced, having weakened. Because at the very beginning of mindfulness practice, we cannot get rid of covetousness or grief. That is one of the purposes, as we already saw, and therefore that is the goal. Goal is total removal of our covetousness and grief. Now here, at the beginning, we at least during the period we practice mindfulness, intense mindfulness, we are supposed to practice mindfulness all the time. But when we begin to practice it, we should not let covetousness and grief be in our way. We have to remove it out of our way for temporarily we shelve it, and we say goodbye to them, you wait until I finish my practice. You tell our grief and covetousness, wait for a minute, don't rush, don't make it difficult, don't get in my way. That's what we have to do. That's what it means. Vinaya lokya abhijja domanasang. When we practice mindfulness of the body, during that time grief can arise, covetousness can arise, then we have to put it aside. Then the other word is ardent, atapi. Pali word is atapi. That is the striving with the determination, with what you call commitment, being very serious and making effort. What kind of effort? Effort to overcome or temporarily suspend covetousness and what you call grief. Then sampajano. We learn sampajana next in following sections. Thereof in commentary, sampajana has been divided into 4. We will discuss it later on. Now at this moment we understand only this much, clearly comprehending. Kaya kayanapassi viharati. Viharati means dwells, lives. That also is should be emphasized, because mindfulness is not something one-time practice. It is the practice that we incorporate into our life. The viharati means living, dwelling. Dwelling means sitting, standing, walking, lying down, eating, drinking, walking, doing, getting engaged in all kind of activities. In order to include all this, the word viharati is deliberately used. It's not one-time, part-time practice. Same goes with Vedana, feelings, and then Chitta, consciousness, or the mind, then Dhamma, mind, we use Dhamma here, mind objects, but the translation is phenomena. It is more appropriate word, I suppose, phenomena. In each of these we should be mindful, make effort, we should understand them properly, and subdue our covetousness and grief. So these are the 4 foundations of mindfulness, 4 establishment of mindfulness. Now, then Buddha goes on to elaborate. This is the introduction, so to say, prologue. Then he asks the bhikkhus, and how bhikkhus does the bhikkhu dwell contemplating the body in the body? Okay. Now, kayanupassi, vedananupassi, chittanupassi, dhammanupassi. Here we have to pause and try to understand kaya anupassi. Anupassi means we have to understand we are practicing vipassana. For vipassana we have to have anupassana. Here Buddha shows anupassana. The anupassana is also a very important word. Anu is used in Pali in 2 meanings. One is fine material form. Finest is paramanu. Paramanu means the finest matter. Sometimes it is called atom. Paramanu. For atom in Pali and Sanskrit called paramanu. So anu is therefore very fine matter. Anupassana means, that is one meaning. Finest matter is anu. Anu, when we use it in a combined with pasana means seeing, anu there becomes prefix to pasana. Therefore, anupassana means seeing as it is happening. There are examples. When you sit, suppose there is a child who wants to learn to sit. When you sit, child also sits with you, imitating you. That is called tittanto anutittati. When you sit, child imitates you. Their anu is doing something, happening something simultaneously. Anupassana. Gacchanto anugacchati. When someone goes, you also go. That is what in Maha Sutta, I think Rahula Sutta, I don't remember where. Rahula was following the Buddha, following his footsteps. Anugacchati, Tathagatang anugacchati. Going along with it, imitating his own footsteps. Anu. Similarly, that is the second meaning. We have to take that meaning in this context. That means when something is happening, mind also is following it, following that action. Mind is not lagging behind the action. So mind, it becomes fully, that is why it is a comprehending, fully becoming fully aware. To practice mindfulness, we have to be fully aware of what is happening. We can see when we come to other sections, we will explain it more in some little more detail. And therefore, in the first place, we must understand Kaya Anupassana, Vedana Anupassana. We see feeling as it is happening, arising, as it is passing away. Chitta Anupassana, we follow the mind as something happening to the mind, and we follow the phenomenon as something happening in the phenomena. That's what it means. Paying attention to